Alrighty, folks. So, got another question that comes up from time to time. Not so much a question as kind of just a challenge in our thinking about the expectations we put on our client base to conform to rules and regulations and what our client expectations are. We have a one-sheeter that's a part of our application. You'll see it if you get that chip right to us and get that chip of all our stuff. And this one sheet is just titled Client Rights and Responsibilities. And so it's just like a 7-point little document. The client signs it, the leader doing intake signs it, and it's essentially trying to hit home this one point that while you're in our program, you do have rights. You have the right to appeal. You have the right to walk away from services. Nobody's keeping you there forcibly. But then we also, toward the last couple points, sort of let the client know that, hey, that you have some responsibilities as a client as well. And so as much as we do care about you and all the people that we serve, we have some expectations on your time here. But I wanted to talk about those expectations because I think it can become either your thought on this, your ideology on this, either is truly going to liberate you to be able to serve a much broader client base, or your thought processes on this are going to kind of keep you trapped. And what I've seen it do is keep some leaders trapped in this sort of just very frustrated mode. And the mode goes something like this, like, why won't they do what they're supposed to do? Like, all they got to do is do this, and all they got to do this, and everything is provided, and you'll just keep racking your brain and racking your head and stressing yourself out if your expectations of what your client's abilities or inabilities are, if your expectations are so far distanced from what the reality of those your clients are doing. It can be an immense source of frustration for you and I think for your staff. So hear me out a little bit on this. We have a lot of people we house, somewhere over 700 people all across Arizona, and as you guys know, I mean, they're in multiple different types of programs. They're in many different levels of care and levels of acuity of need, and so we have some who are very low acuity, meaning that it's pretty easy. They're there. They just a few unfortunate things happened, and they're homeless, and they're gonna work, save a couple paychecks, and they're gonna be out. And they're really not there during the day. They're very what we would consider well behaved and high functioning, and they're doing good. But we've got all the way down to the other end of the spectrum, where we've got some 11-year-olds who are there and have been grotesquely sexually abused for years and violated through human trafficking, and they just have no moral compass, no sense of what we would consider to be right and wrong, and are a constant source of need, like almost one-on-one staff need. And so you've got that diversity, and within that you've got your amazing, blessed frontline staff who are the ones there in the middle of the night when you aren't, or maybe you are that person, but they're the ones there on the weekends, and I mean, they're the third shifters, and they're the frontline staff that are caring for people when you're not there, and honestly, they're a lot of times folks ride this emotional tidal wave that brings them to your agency, and the first time they get cussed out and spit on or threatened and unappreciated, like it really tests their motives and their motivations. And so always, though, what ends up coming from that is this: you have to have a disciplinary process. We've talked about that in other videos. You have to have systems of accountability, and you have to have limits. As an agency, you do have to have limits. I think the point we grapple with all the time is that if the limits are a very transient, movable target, it creates chaos and dissension within the group. If it's a sure, hard, fast, immovable target for everyone, that doesn't work for a lot of people, and you end up having to kick a lot of people out. So how do you do this? One of the things that I've encouraged all of our programs. We had a late night conference call with one of our dream centers in Arizona here, and we talked through this, and I mean, this is kind of the tone we've taken in our programs here in Phoenix and Arizona abroad, and it goes a little something like this. Like our mentality sometimes is for how clients are doing. Like you think about Ann versus John, and how are they doing? Our mentality sometimes to measure that mentally and emotionally is, well, are they following the rules? Are they compliant? Are they respectful to the staff and things like that? And so it's sometimes the tendency is to want to measure how a client's doing based on purely their compliance. And that's not wrong. It's not wrong to do it that way, but we've found that it is, to us, an incomplete way of looking at things. What we are looking for more so in our programs is compliance to a degree, but compliance as a byproduct, not as the prime product. And so what we're looking for is progress. We're looking for clients who are making progress. And the whole philosophy is this. Honestly, think about this statement. If you have clients in your program and they can follow all of your rules and they're 100% compliant in every area, do they really need your program? I mean, do they honestly need your program? Like, maybe the structure helps them a little bit, but you get someone come in and they're an all-star in every area and they're doing fine. Like, I kind of question what need are we really filling? If they could do that with you, can't they do that right away out there in the community? And sometimes the answer is no. I get it; it's a simplification. But for us, that's the philosophy we've taken with regard to how is a particular client doing. Yes, we look at their compliance, but we look at compliance in the context of not so much are they a major rule breaker. Are they actually progressing in the program? So it starts with this fundamental principle that if they've come to your program, they're not compliant with society in some way. Like, it may have been forced upon them, it may be totally not their fault, but there's something going on in their life that they can't function in society, right? That's why I think they're at our doors, because they need help with that. They need to grow. They need help growing. And so it's that growth, it's that progress that we really measure rather than purely compliance. I think for us, for one example, one of the examples that came up last night was there's this one particular client who she is breaking rules in certain areas, and so part of her non-compliance is keeping her from progressing up to different levels of the program. And so she's in level 1 or level 2 or something, and the next level she has much more freedom, days off, and a phone and different things like that. So we try to incentivize growth, but we're partially incentivizing it by penalizing for the non-compliance. And so if you just had the penalizing for non-compliance and no incentivizing for growth, for her to be able to have more freedoms and progress through, then you've got this penal system, and actually, whether you intend to or not, you've just moved people through a system of and what motivates them is they don't want to get in trouble. And what we found is that'll make people do just enough. It'll create an environment where people do just enough to not get in trouble, and that's not creating world changers in our opinion. We want to instill in people this value that many of them don't have, that is a hard-working ethic, yes, that is and I can do it, I can dream again effort, yes, but at some point you got to put teeth to the dream, and you got to make sure the hard work is going somewhere. And I think that's our whole goal with measuring progress as the true indicator of that. Now, within reason. So let's say you've got someone, they're a consistent rule breaker, or rule bender, or they're consistent not doing that, but they're still moving up through the levels slowly at their own pace, but they're moving, they're showing progress. That person is going to be with us despite the rule infractions and different things like that. However, one other person, rule infractions within reason, I should say that. So obviously abuse, and if they're minor rule infractions, if it affects other people's progress, you have to do corrective action that's sometimes a termination on something like that. But if it's contained, and if it's something that they're just working out, like this one case, she didn't clean the laundry room, and so she had put her foot down and was not cleaning the laundry room. And so what I encouraged the staff was, well, if her non-compliance issue, as long as that's not costing the agency anything in the form of PR or it's not an eyesore, like the garbage is piling up or anything like that, then I think we work with her and we just continue to incentivize. You want to move to the next level? We want you to move to the next level. Like, we're going to get here. And so trying to instill that value of growth, of wanting to achieve by incentivizing growth, but also balancing it out with you don't just look the other way. You really do corrective action, but the corrective action shouldn't be just this tone of maliciousness, not maliciousness, but this tone of we're looking at you, we're watching you to see if you're going to break the rules. I mean, that's not what we're going for. That doesn't produce within a person the desire to want to grow on their own. Again, it produces someone who wants to do just enough not to get in trouble. And so that's kind of how we handle incentivizing behaviors, good behaviors, versus penalizing bad behaviors. Our long game is to build within people a desire to want to grow, and where that translates is in the workplace. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years after they've left your facility, they want to go after that higher level job. They want to further their education because they know there's an incentive. Our entire society is built on that fundamental principle. But if we're graduating people out and all they've learned is, I'm going to do enough just not to get in trouble, you're probably going to see them again. Hope that's been helpful. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next time.